Well, everybody, we're back in the TVA with the fourth episode of Loki. So in this last episode that I reviewed, I didn't really clarify it. So yeah, the way I'm going to kind of be changing things up is I'm not going to really doing like a plot synopsis and then sort of talking about what I like about the episode. I'm going to be kind of doing a plot synopsis along with the notes that I have, because I just found for me it's more interesting and more fun. And I guess that only really matters because I'm the one who's doing these, right? All right, so let's get into it. So yeah, we open up and there is a shot of Asgard, and Asgard looks like something right out of an 80s metal album cover. Asgard is such a crazy place and actually sort of not very well explored in the Marvel Universe, but I do like the fact that it keeps kind of popping up here as this sort of place where things were more hopeful and it was a simpler time for our protagonist. Yeah, so we get a flashback and we see that Ramona is the one who took Sylvie out of Asgard when she was a kid. And I'm kind of curious why she did it. And it further solidifies in my mind that Ramona there's some kind of secret or something she's keeping from a lot of the other people. I just want to know what it is, but I guess, it's 6 episodes. We gotta wait a little bit. Yeah, and it just kind of brings into the fact that like the TVA is pretty cruel, right? Because we learned last episode, spoilers, that all the TVA agents are variants, which means they have variants killing other variants, which is pretty messed up. But yeah, finally Mobius is back, and I missed him last week, and I'm so glad that he is back here because I do think he is one of the best elements of this show. But he gets into a discussion with Ramona asking about the agent from episode 2 who was enchanted by Sylvie. He wants to talk to her because he wants to know what she knows in order to help him further understand Sylvie, right? Ramona remarks that guard is dead, and it's suspicious, right? Like the way she's saying it, I would say the actress who plays Ramona, when she's lying, it's pretty clear when she's lying. At least for me, I can usually tell she's doing like a body language thing that lets me know she's not telling the truth. It is a little thing where you're kind of like, how does Mobius not see it? But he also has some kind of personal relationship, so you can see how he'd be a little blind to believing her. But yeah, they basically have it where we cut back to Lamentis, where Loki and Lady Loki are, and they're basically watching the apocalypse happen. And right before that happens, the TVA comes and saves them. Now, to be honest, I think a big chunk of this scene should have been the end of last episode. You didn't need to show the TVA rescuing them, but just that sort of them looking up at this apocalypse about to take them out and just being like, well, we got each other, I guess. That would have probably been a better ending to last week's episode than what we got. Yeah, but with that, the TVA does rescue the Lokis. And now it makes we're back into that great Loki Mobius banter that, to be honest, is when the show is at its best. They end up putting Loki into a sort of like time loop prison punishment where basically he's having to relive this memory of his that's supposed to be unpleasant. I think the memory's pretty tame in the sense that it's just like, he gets sent back and Lady Sif beats the crap out of him a little bit. I think it's pretty tame. I'm sure he's done worse stuff than that he doesn't want to see. But it was also nice to give, a Sif cameo. I do think a lot of the characters from Thor have not been given a lot to do, especially like the warrior people we meet. They pretty much have disappeared off the show, off the whole franchise. So yeah, we do get this scene with Mobius where he's interrogating Loki, and you can definitely see how cruel Mobius can be because he's not pulling any punches with Loki now. He's pretty pissed at him, and he lets Loki believe that Sylvie is dead in order to get a reaction out of him. And I thought that was pretty cruel. I know Mobius is a guy that we like and he's a nice guy, but also for him to be one of the best in his field, he can't always be a variant's friend, and you can definitely see that here. But Mobius does bring up an interesting point, which is that somehow the Lokis on Lamentis created a really bad nexus point branching path thing, and he's kind of hinting at it. It's because the Lokis are romantically attracted to each other. Marvel's leaning into the weirdness, boy. You just gotta get to the finish line. All the way to episode 6, we just gotta get to that finish line. And you basically have it where, I'm kind of curious about this with Mobius now, because we were introduced to the fact that Mobius likes jet skis. So it's pretty safe to say, now that we know that all the TVA are variants, that he had a past life, and that love of jet skis he has something to do with his past life. This isn't like a big swing or anything I'm saying here, but before this series is done, we will see Mobius on a jet ski. Mark it here. We will see Mobius on a jet ski. And now it leads to what I think honestly is the best scene of the episode. And it's basically a scene where after Mobius has interrogated Loki, he definitely has suspicions because Loki says to him, all the people in the TVA are variants. And he's already been kind of having a suspicion for a little bit. So he has this scene where he's debriefing with Ramona. We've seen this several times throughout the previous 3 episodes. Except now, I would say this is one of the best scenes of the episode because it's not the usual Marvel fare, right? It's not a big action scene. It's not very showy. It's not very flashy. It's just 2 people having a conversation, but 2 people who are trying to outmaneuver each other with various tactics, social tactics in terms of like leaning on friendship, pointing out weird logic gaps in someone's argument. And I know that it's not the most interesting thing for Marvel fans to watch, but I wish Marvel would do more stuff like this because I think their reliance on spectacle at times robs the characters of like emotionality and depth. And I would like more scenes like this. Like Loki, I think the only other scene I can remember from the other Marvel movies that reminds me of this is when Peter Parker is in the back of the car going on to prom with his date, and slowly they're realizing who each other are. I think that's one of their best scenes, and this scene kind of reminded me of that. Also, we have it where, I'm just gonna call her Ruby. I don't know her name, but I know her from Lovecraft Country. Ruby decides to go interrogate Sylvie and takes her back to the point with which she was enchanted, because she basically reveals that when Sylvie did that to her, she had a memory of her past life, basically the life she had before the TVA snatched her up. And I would say the actress who plays Ruby, she is really good because she does a really good job here showing how much of this memory being unlocked has really shaken her belief in the TVA. And it's just through her vocal tonality. Like, we've heard her be pretty gruff throughout most of the season, but now she lets her voice get much more vulnerable. And yeah, I think she's a great actress. I hope she continues to get to do more stuff. But yeah, we end up seeing in that scene with Owen Wilson and Ramona that he stole her little TemPad thing and basically pulls up the video of the interrogation of that guard. And the guard reveals exactly what we thought, which is that they are all variants, further proving to Mobius that Ramona is up to something. And I have to say, I'm so curious to know what she's up to. Why is she keeping all these secrets? Why is she lying? She's clearly lying about something. I'm just curious what it is. So you basically have it where Mobius decides to go break Loki out and basically tell Loki, like, hey man, you're right. I love how sweet, like how casually sweet the Mobius character is, that he just says to Loki very casually at the end, hey, just in case you never heard it, you can be whoever you want to be, man. You're not tied down to destiny. And it's like, it's such a casual thing, but it's you can tell that it really touches Loki, that he's never really had someone just tell him that so sincerely, or maybe he just wasn't ready to hear it. But I like the fact that Mobius is this like positive influence on his life. But unfortunately, all that sweetness is dashed when right after Ramona realizes what Mobius did, and they freaking murk Mobius, man. They just murder him, but he does go out like a G. He doesn't run or anything. He does go out like a G, but man, they killed him, bruh. So, all I gotta say is, let the TVA burn. Let the revolution begin. Down with the TVA. Down with the TVA. But yeah, so you basically have it where after they murk Mobius, they take the 2 Lokis to go see the Time Lords, which I was surprised by that. But the part of the scene that really struck me was that there's a part where Sylvie asks Ramona, because she's the one who took her, why did you take me from my home? What is the thing that I was supposed to do? And Ramona, further cementing her villain status to me, hits Sylvie back with the M. Bison energy. She just was like, I don't even remember. That was Tuesday for me. What? But basically they have it where they go to see the Time Lords. The Time Lords are there. But is it just me, or can anyone not understand what are the Time Lords saying? I know they want to put the filters on their vocals to make them sound more alien-like and add reverb to make them sound bigger and grander, but I could not understand what the Time Lords were saying in this scene. And I watched this episode like twice. Loki and Sylvie are about to be murdered because the Time Lord's like, all right, kill them. And Ruby comes to the rescue and frees them. But how come they play my girl Ruby though? Because we've established that Ruby seems to be like quite a bit of a fighter, and she gets knocked out with a 2-piece. Just us and down, and then she's not in the fight anymore. That sucks. But yeah, like I've been saying throughout a lot of the other episodes, it leads to this fight scene, and the Marvel action just doesn't really do much for me. I just I'm waiting for the action to be done so the story can start going again. But yeah, you have it where after this fight is kind of going down, Sylvie throws a sword at one of the Time Lords, cutting off his head, and it reveals that it is a robot. And I knew it because I said that I didn't think the Time Lords were real. But it does beg the question, what is going on? Why are the Time Lords these fake robots? What is trying to be preserved here? There's a lie that's trying to be upheld. So I'm really curious to know what it is. And then you basically have it where Loki is about to confess to Sylvie something. I'm pretty sure the fact that he likes her or loves her. And he gets murked. Or so we think, because when we go to the after credit scene, Loki wakes up somewhere and apparently sees a bunch of alternate versions of him, which has me pretty excited for the next episode. So with that, I would say Loki episode 4, I definitely think it's more exciting and we're finally starting to get some answers. So with that, I'm going to give Loki episode 4 a solid 8 out of 10. Yeah, so let me know what you think in the comment down below, and I'll talk to y'all next episode. Peace.